I'm back. Don't get scammed, because you probably, well, will. Look, here's the deal. Android tablets, okay? I mean, I've had a couple of them in the past. They suck. But, my own opinion, I might get another one just for fun. So, here we've got one that says 7 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs, and a 6580 milliamp battery. Probably the only two things that are real about this are going to be, you know, the fact that, yeah, it's got 128 gigs of storage. It can go to 1 terabyte with a TF card, which is slow. And of course, the battery may be authentic. It does have an HD IPS display, it claims. 13 megapixel and an 8 megapixel dual cameras, which kind of looks kind of nice. It's like, ooh, $135 too. And it's a 10-inch tablet. Wow. Wi-Fi even. They don't even say what version. They must be embarrassed. But they say 7 gigs of RAM, which is a lie. Okay? Right down here, it says 4 gigs of actual memory plus 3 gigs of virtual memory. Whether you are playing games or opening applications, it can help you smooth operating experience. Okay, so here's the thing. Virtual memory is going to take away from your internal storage space. Okay? So it's kind of like, wait a second. They lied again. Oh my goodness, they lied again. Only with 64 gigs of built-in storage. Huh? What's going on here? What do we got to do to get more? This is $359 for this one. Yeah, same thing, 64 gig. Well, then why do they say 128 gig? That's kind of... wow, and I was only going to pick on RAM today. Holy cow. That's pretty bad. Hopefully that's a typo, because, wow, that's just nasty. Anyways, moving along. But you know, the one thing that people always look at first is this picture going, oh, look, it's got Wi-Fi 6. It's not even the newest version, okay? 7 gigs of RAM plus 128 gigs of storage. But then they tell you down below, oh, we're sorry, you only get 64 gigs. Whoopsie, we lied. So sorry, not. But then they lie about the RAM. In the thing, they say it's 6 gigs when it really isn't, in fact. Okay? Android 12. Now, here's the other problem. These all have outdated operating systems already. Okay? The most current version running right now is actually Android 13. Okay? And they do have a 14 beta right now as well. Okay? Now, some of these tablets are going to be able to go to the newest, but some of them won't. But how much support are you going to get on Android? Okay? I think you would get more support off of Chrome than you would off of Android. And Chrome OS and Android are like identical, right? Just that Chrome actually does support their devices much longer. And the thing too is, when it comes to manufacturers of these devices, they lock out their systems so that they're only supported so far. That has been a known thing, right? So it's not always the fault of the Android software developer. Because see, we have a problem here, right? And it's the same problem as Windows. You have basically one company that makes software. Well, okay, Microsoft does make a couple computers. Android probably does too, okay? But then you got 10,000 other people making devices and computers for the OS, right? And it's kind of like there's no real control over there on, you know, what's going to happen here, right? So you don't know what is going to realistically go on. And that makes life a little bit interesting. But here we see 5 gigs plus 64 gigs, right? 2 gigs of this is virtual. 3 gigs is actual. But you're looking at, oh, wow, it's got 5 gigs of RAM in it. That's the picture you looked at, because that's the way consumers look at things. Consumers always look at the big picture right in front of them going, look, 5 gigs, yeah. They don't even read the rest, and then they wonder why the thing runs so slow or something else happens. There's a few tablets up here where they actually tell you have to turn on virtual memory, but a lot of these don't even say that. They don't even say you have to turn it on. It's probably just turned on by default, or who knows, right? And it's like, wow, this at least is probably honest, right? 2 gigs plus 64 gigs of storage. You know, I mean, when you're looking at tablets too, even Android, you have to be just as concerned as when you buy a computer. Like, what is my display? Now, IPS panels are actually the best thing out there next to the new OLED, except OLED, you get screen burn-in issues all the time. So I would definitely avoid OLED at all costs. But IPS panels are what's more commonly used all the time. It's getting to be a more and more common display because it is better than the VA panels, and etc., etc. Crystal clear images with Apple, of course. They have IPS with Retina, and they have some really nice ProMotion 4K XDR displays, etc., etc., okay? But also look at the screen resolution you're going to be getting too. I mean, that's a thing too where, you know, when you're shopping for a tablet for a specific purpose, you need horsepower under the hood too. Like, this has only got a 1.6 gigahertz quad core. That thing is slower than snot, okay? I mean, that's not a very good experience in life. But it is only $109, so you kind of get what you pay for. All right, but you got 2 gigs here. It doesn't say about any options for virtual memory, okay? 2 megapixel front camera, 5 in the back. Well, at least 5 in the back will be good, but 2 in the front's gonna suck. Here's one, 14 gigs. Ooh, with 256 gigs of storage, up to 1 terabyte with a TF card, 16 megapixel by 16 dual camera. Oh, 269? Oh, that looks so nice. Yeah, everybody's going like, this is juicy, man. 5G Wi-Fi? Oh, wow. Let's see about this RAM, though. Okay, 8 gigs of actual RAM and 6 gigs of virtual. You were lied to again, unless you read further, okay? A 2K Full HD display, K9 speakers. Ooh, this thing looks pretty juicy. Screen resolution is 2000 by 1200. And they call that 2K? I don't know. I think their numbers are right a little bit. Anyways, you got a big 8300 milliamp battery in this puppy. You're gonna need it, I guess. But yeah, we've already just seen right there, 14 gigs of RAM. And yeah, okay, what about our storage? Oh, well, at least it is 256 built in. That's pretty good. You can also expand storage up to 1 terabyte via an optional TF card and download your favorite apps from GMS certified Google Play Store. Octa-core, Android 12. I mean, again, these all have outdated operating systems on them, right? 16 megapixel high resolution dual cameras. That looks to be interesting, to be honest. I would, if I had the money, I'd probably buy this just to try it out and compare. But yeah, that's, I mean, but it's still a lie. You're only getting actual 8 gigs of RAM, and that's it. And 6 gigs of virtual. Now, whether you have to turn it on yourself or not, that's a good question, because there were a couple ads I read where they say you actually have to turn on virtual memory. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck with the low end. But why then do they say you got 14 gigs on the ad? That's their marketing ploy. That's to suck you in and make you go, oh, that's perfect and the price is right. Look what you get for your money. No, how about look at what you're not getting for your money, okay? And you're definitely not getting the truth here either, okay? Unless you are willing to read on down below. Now, Samsung is one company I'm a little concerned with because they don't actually get into the specs, so they may be doing a virtual thing too, and they're just not even telling you. And I don't trust Samsung. I don't like Samsung products. I mean, I've had Samsung RAM before, and the Samsung RAM hasn't been too bad if it already came with something, because at least it was functional and it stayed running. But any other thing that I've come across with Samsung products has been garbage. And I hear a lot about people pushing Samsung products all over YouTube, but at the same time, I'm also hearing sometimes the same channels later down the road or other channels pointing out about all the problems with Samsung products too, right? It's kind of like, yeah, that's why Kevy trusts Kingston and not Samsung when it comes to my drives. You know, that's why I bought an Intamin Thunderbolt case instead of the overpriced Acasis case. It does the same frickin' speed. I'm at least willing to put up with the fact I got 2 screws to deal with, where the Acasis is all snap and go, right? But you're paying $80 more for the exact same results, okay? So think about it, right? Anyways, and a lot of people push that Acasis product stuff. I'm telling you, they'll even drive Sabrent down your throat. Now, I like Sabrent for their 3.2 USB cases. They're good for that. But I wouldn't give you nothing else for Sabrent otherwise. I wouldn't even buy one of their drives, to be honest. Like one of their actual SSDs to go into a case with. Or even one of their, you know, homebrew built ones. But anyhow, that's just a whole other video. But we see the same thing happening, very common here. 7 gigs, Wi-Fi 6. And 6 is not the newest. But it's close enough. I mean, it's better than having something lesser, I guess. But here we go. What can we get? 7 plus 128 storage, 70 tablet, 4 gigs of basic RAM. There you go. Again, they lie up here, but then they tell you down here, 3 gigs of this is going to be virtual. Okay? I mean, the only thing I can really appreciate about Android over Apple when it comes to tablets is the simple fact that Android has that TF slot to give you more internal storage capability, because your internal storage is usually not that great. And I'm going to tell you too, when virtual memory is involved, it's taking it away from your internal storage because it has no choice. It has to take it from where the operating system is. You cannot choose another storage area for your virtual memory, okay? So if you bought a 32 gig tablet, okay, where there's 32 gigs of actual real storage on board. I did find a fake out one here that said 128 and there's actually only 64. But anyways, I don't know what happened with that one. But it's going to take it away. So you really don't have that available storage when you have the virtual involved. Okay, so if they say you're going to have 7 gigs just for virtual or 3 gigs for virtual, that's automatically minused from your internal capacity. So you're going to have more external capacity via the TF card, right? And you're going to have all your stuff saved on the external because, yeah, you still got any Android OS updates that are going to have to come down. And some programs actually still have to live only on your internal. That's the thing. Not all, but some do. And you got to have room for that. And you have to have room for expansion for your operating system too over time. But then again, Android tablets, they're not actually supported for all that many years anyways. You know, and already we're seeing that pretty much every one so far is out of date, like Android 11. Okay, current is 13 with an iOS not iOS, but Android OS 14 beta that's currently out. So yeah, 11 is like way out of date. You know, 2 gigs of RAM in this one, 64 gigs of storage, right? Expandable to 512, right? It's nice that Android is cheap and people are like, oh, they're cheaper than Apple. Yeah, but they can't do anything anywhere near and close to what Apple stuff can do. You get what you pay for, kids. You really do. Okay? Except when it comes to Samsung, of course, you're getting ripped off. Because Samsung's got a $1,600 tablet on here. They can't even anywhere near compete with Apple tablets. Okay? It's just a piece of junk. Here's another one. Another prime example. 14 gigs. Octa-core processor, okay, 14 gigs plus 128 speed matter. What the heck is that? Anyways, 8 gigs of actual RAM, 6 gigs of virtual. So out of your 128 of storage, you technically only have, what, 122 because 6 gigs of that is going to be taken away for virtual to give you 12 gigs. And virtual slows you down. Virtual causes stuttering in gaming. Virtual burns out your drive faster. You want to avoid virtual, but unfortunately, they're not making it easy for you. But anyways, you could go pages and pages and pages of this stuff, and so many of these are scams. You know, like another one here. This is probably one of the same repetitive ads, but 14 gigs. They say it's a 2K display, which if you look at the resolution, Nope. But hey, nice try anyways. It's almost 2K. But when you start looking at this one, okay, where's our RAM in here? 14 gig. 6 gigs of that is virtual, 8 gigs is actual. Okay? Unless you read down below, you are going to be fooled. Okay? So this is a lie that they tell you up front, because it's a lie. Real RAM is real RAM. Virtual is virtual. They're putting this out as real RAM, and then they tell you down below, that's a scam. Okay? That's a big scam. This is what you got to watch out for. This is why you got to always investigate stuff really close. Okay? Even in the Windows world, you know, you really got to do that. But any world, you have to do it. 15 gigs. Is this even halfway authentic? Probably not. What do we got here? Yeah, ba-dum-bum. Yep. Okay, 8 gigs of RAM and able to expand up to 15 gigs, along with 128 internal storage, which, of course, what's 15 from 8? Do the math. Minus that from your 128 gig internal storage, because that's what you're going to lose. And up to 2 terabyte of storage is available using a micro SD card. FAT32 formatted. You know, we haven't used FAT32 in, like, even on PCs in forever. Okay, like Android still uses it though. We can't even use FAT32 anymore on the Mac. It's like, oh my goodness, these old formatting systems, and they're so slow. You know, that's the thing, right? But anyway, decide for yourselves. It's up to you. I'm just the messenger trying to help you guys to be very careful before buying into this stuff, because a lot of people, all they see is that first spot. Like this says 6 gigs, right? Is it really 6 gigs? Wow, look at that. It actually is equipped with 6 gigs. First honest one yet. Wow, that's impressive. 5 megapixel by 8 megapixel dual cameras. That's not bad, actually. Octa-core chip, 2000 by 1200, decent resolution. 6000 milliamp battery. Yeah, but again, all of these have outdated Android OSs already. They're all out to date. You're going to have to update them and hope that your Android brand device will update to a newer OS or the newest OS, because not all of these are going to. That's another problem I have run into many times in the past with Android stuff. It's just a bloody nightmare. Samsung. Now, I've seen a really expensive Samsung, but they didn't want to list if there was virtual memory involved or not. But of course, they're not doing it here either. But they're also not really telling us much. It's a Tab A7 Lite, 32 gig. Well, that's the storage. For $184, I mean, you can spend less money and get more storage out of one of these other off-brands. You know, and Samsung is not that hot either. I mean, like I said earlier, right? But they don't really want to tell you very much here. 2.3 gigahertz processor. They're not even Wi-Fi 6. Ooh, so much for your precious Samsung, for the Samsung lovers out there. Android 11, out of date by a few OSs. But they're not even telling us how much RAM is in here, you know. And the flash memory, that's your storage. Okay, they kind of just doubled up on it. Yeah, they're not even telling you much. Resolution isn't half bad, I guess, for the size of the thing. But this is what you get, right? You either don't get any real info, so you don't know what you're buying, or you definitely see that first picture, and then you find out you're being lied to thoroughly, you know? And, yeah, it's just so many scams up here. It's stupid. But it's not because of Amazon themselves. This is the thing. You can't blame Amazon for this. This is the manufacturers, okay? Amazon has no control over how the manufacturers put out their product, okay? That's up to them, how they do their own thing. What I'm trying to do is being the messenger here to tell you to be a very wise shopper, read very carefully, so that you don't get yourself screwed over, okay? That's a big, big thing. Anyway, that's my take on this. Comments go down below. Let me know what you guys think. And man, we got still like so many other pages of this stuff to go, and this was only page 1. Oh, I got to do some research later and find out how many more scams we got going on down here. But anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.